Hi all, welcome to this introduction section of UiPath. This session is all about how do we do, set up the architecture of UiPath, and from there we'll go to the introduction of UiPath. So let me say here, like architecture of UiPath. What are the things that is consist of? Why is that required for us? So UiPath architecture basically consists of three things. One is UiPath Studio. Next is UiPath Robot, and next is UiPath Orchestrator. So these are the basically three things that is required for the UiPath setup for us. So your UiPath Studio is used by developers who design and also do R&D on the tool, whereas a robot is the one which is used for execution of the process. This will be used to connect our robot to orchestrator, and UiPath orchestrator is nothing but your dashboard where we can configure robots, machines, processes, okay, create jobs, assign roles and responsibilities. So this is typically used by UiPath Orchestrator is used by administrative teams. So as I said, we have what we say, three things to consider. The UiPath Studio typically used by developers who can all design, do R&D, what we say, design multiple processes. And as I said, it's mainly used by developers across the globe. Now, robot is just a small component in our what we say architecture, which is basically used for execution of the processes. Now, the execution can be like, as I said, you can do foreground execution or you can do background execution. So, and it acts as like a attended or unattended mode of process execution, which will come in detail in subsequent sections. And then we have UiPath Orchestrator. So this is typically used by all our administrative teams. So this is where they do the entire what we say process control, or they do the access control to the users. They can configure the users. They can assign roles and responsibilities. Everything they can do it. Apart from that, they also do the configuration of the robots, machines, the processes, and at the end, that is where we're going to execute the jobs. Now, this job execution, as I said, is always done by business analysts, or like, your what we say, the end users who want to use our RPA processes. Apart from that, as I said, it acts as a dashboard. So in the dashboard, you will see everything, right? From like what is the current execution going on, how many processes executed, how many are successful, how many are failed. So everything is visible at that particular what is the orchestrator level. So we'll come to that also in detail in subsequent processes at design, and then configuring our entire end-to-end orchestrator. So this entire course will cover about what we say studio, robot, and orchestrator. So first we will go to the studio where we are going to do various designs and understand different sets of activities, different sets of properties, everything. Then we'll come to the what we say configuring of robot and orchestrator. And then we'll later come back what we say to studio to understand how do we troubleshoot, how do we do exception handling whenever we have this robot and orchestrator, or whenever we're using robot and orchestrator and suppose issue happens or suppose there's an error, and how do you fix that. Then we have to do exception handling. So we'll be coming to that what we say later, coming back as a studio. Now moving ahead, in case you all are not aware, or you need to know, then what are the roles and responsibilities that we have as part of UiPath. So basically we have UiPath developer, okay, who always designs and does testing, or I can say even a unit testing. And then we have testers. So this can be done by business analyst, or it is done by testing team. Then we have administrators. So the role of them is to completely manage the infrastructure. Okay. Apart from that, we also have BA or solution architect. So BA is nothing but business analyst or solution architect. So the task of BA or solution architects to gather the requirements from the business, or we can also say process feasibility from RPA perspective. And they also help to deliver processes, all processes committed to clients. We also have a role of managers who oversee day-to-day operations and handle the teams. Okay. So these are the different roles that what you say we have as part of our RPA practice. Okay. So now this is all about the architecture of UiPath. Pretty simple. What we say, and as part of your what we say installation and configuration, as I said, it's pretty simple. Even on the server side, we don't have much infrastructure required. What we say, we can do it using a pretty simple machines also, and we just have to have these three components to use our RPA UiPath. So this is all about our architecture of UiPath, and then we'll be going to the introduction of our UiPath tool. So okay, so this is all about what you say. This is about our UiPath Studio. This is how it looks like after the installation, and what do you say? And there's nothing much as we have seen in the previous sessions. There's nothing much to install. It's a pretty straightforward installation. So now moving ahead with the introduction of the tool. Why this introduction is required? Because there are so many options. There are so many what we say things given. So basically, you should be aware of like when to use what. So that is why we'll go to the introduction of the tool before we go to the actual topics. The first and foremost, whenever we open the UiPath or whenever we launch the UiPath, so this is how it is visible. This is the start menu. So typically you have an open option here. So open will basically allow you to open any existing project or processes stored within your machine. Okay. So all your projects and processes are stored in My Documents UiPath folder. So whatever you create locally will be stored and will be visible from this open section. Now, next is the close. So once you open the project and you want to close it, then we are going to use close button. So close will allow you to close all your what we say existing projects. Next is the start menu. So start menu will allow you to what we say open or create multiple projects here too. So this is a very important section which we will be visiting multiple times, and you know there are multiple things in this section which will go in detail. So here on our left hand side you can see open. So there are two types of open options they have given here. One is the open a local project, or other one is the clone and checkout. So now open a local project is like, you know, we are trying to open again a local project stored in our My Documents UiPath folder, or it's also called as a local repository. So our projects are basically within our computers or within our systems. So that is when if you click on open a local project, it will navigate you to My Documents UiPath and you can open your project. Whenever you do clone or checkout, that means you can actually clone or get the project from your online repositories. Now, basically, we have three types of repositories: the GitHub, the TFS, and SVN. So these are the three standards for UiPath. Okay. So here what happens is using these repositories, you do day-to-day check-in of your code to the UiPath servers. Or I wouldn't say UiPath servers, these are the online repository servers. So your company will take any one of this. It need not be that they have to take all the three licenses. They will take any one license applicable to them. And then on a day-to-day basis, this entire whatever design we do, it's stored on a repository or on a cloud repository. The reason why this is required, I will tell you that. See, let's say that we have a process that we design for next 1 or 2 months. And after 1 or 2 months, if at all the PC automatically crashes, what happens? All the efforts that we have put, it will be completely lost. Look at the loss to the business to whom we have committed that we are going to deliver tomorrow, but then we don't have anything. We have to start all the way from beginning. That is why these repositories are what we say very, very important. Everything that we do, that has to be stored in the repositories. So that is why this option is given, clone or checkout. If you say clone or checkout, means you are doing or getting the code from your repository, okay, making a local copy, editing, modifying, or whatever we do design, and then send the code back to the what we say our online repository at the end of the day. So we have a day-to-day backup onto our repository. Apart from that, the other reason also for having repository is version controlling. Very, very important. Why do we need version controlling? So now version controlling will help you. Let's say, we have multiple people in our team working on the same project, maybe on a different modules or different, what we say, small processes. But let's say you design something and by the time you maybe say you're on leave tomorrow and you come back day after tomorrow, you say that no, when I went and I went before the leave, everything was working, but today nothing is working. So how can we verify who has worked on that, who has modified the changes? So that is where again your version controlling comes into picture, where it will show you entire history of, okay, what was the previous version that we checked in, what was the time after that, who has taken the code, who has modified, okay, what are the changes they have done, everything is visible there. So it's really what we say easy to manage and very good to control our entire company's processes. So this clone or checkout is basically from your cloud, what we say, repositories. Any one of your what we say repository will be opted by your company based on their requirements, based on their licensing infrastructure, everything cost. They're going to opt for it. So automatically, once they opt it, any one will be configured here by your administrative team. You don't have to do anything. So once they configure, you can directly what we see everything here. Okay, all your code, all your company's processes, your infrastructure will be visible here. So this is about your what we say repository. Next is on your right hand side, you can see a project section, and very important section. This is where you create multiple types of projects. So the first one is a process. So if you click on a process, see you will get a window to create a new project. So in this section, what we are going to do is, so in this section, we are going to create a new process. So here what will happen is, you can what we say give any name to your project that you want. So typically the name can be like my first project. Okay, and once we do, as I said, by default the location is my documents UiPath folder. So this is where we are going to store all our projects, and then any description that you want. So once you give a description, what we say, let's say creating my first UiPath project. This will help you to create a what is a new project. So once you give the path, and if you click on the create button, your process will start what we say getting created. So this is how we are going to give the name to our project. This is how we are going to give the path, and this is how we are going to give the description to our project. So once this is done, what will happen is your entire project will get created, and this is the location where you can see your what we say processor folder, and that is where when we go and click on open our what we say the projects will be now open. But be very careful, and very important is like your project name should not have any spaces within the process name that we are going to give, and that is completely like otherwise what happens is when we give the spaces and we try to deploy in the future, it will try to make underscore, because in your server spaces are not allowed or not accepted. Okay, so this is how you are going to just click on a new process and you're going to create a new project. Now, once you create a new project, right, your what we say, it will take you to the subsequent screens inside. So let me show you that how it will go back. So once the project is created, as you can see, it's by default loading all the dependencies that is required for this project. In short while will come what is this dependencies. Okay, so once you can see now, once your entire a project is created, it will bring you back to the design and development screen. So this is the entire area where we are going to do our design and development. So we'll come to this while in a short while also. So the remaining two panels now we can see visible, design and debug. Okay, so we'll go back to our home panel. So where we created the project. So if you look here in our process section, this is where we created a new project. Now, next option you can see is a library. So this library is nothing but this is where we create a common components that is applicable to multiple processor, multiple files. Now, why do we need a library? Let's say so we design a process and we what we say, keep on redesigning everything again and again. But we can do that in a much better way as a library. Then we should definitely go ahead and approach as a library concept, not because as an individual process. Okay, so library is something like we design as a reusable component and that can be used by multiple people in our team. For example, let's take Google search. Though it's a product of Google, but it's open to everybody across the globe. They can type, they can search, get their own result. So similarly is a library. If at all you're doing for calculations, okay, you design, keep it open. So whatever numbers the team enters, they get the result. They don't have to redesign again and again the same thing. That is why this library is very much required to us. Okay, template. Now, template is where we create a base of the project. That means you don't have to necessarily what you say keep your entire design in a template, but typically templates are where you keep something that is common for all your rest of the projects, and then you make that as a template and then customize based on your requirements. For example, if you want to know, see, let's say we are constructing this house. So we constructed one house and we are inviting all our guests. We are inviting so many people, our neighbors, everybody to the housewarming ceremony. Now, what happens is somebody in the guest list, they like the house very much. Now, what do? Is they don't have to necessarily go to the architecture of that, what we say, the design, and they can say that, can you redesign the same thing for me? What they can do is they can in fact take the existing design from the current, what we say, project that was designed, and then go to the architect and say, see, this is my design, but this is the only change that I want to do. That saves lots of our efforts, that saves all our what we say time and everything, and that is what we call it as a template. So what you do is, in this case, we have taken the architect's design. Okay, we have just modified only what is required. So what was common to us, our design and the new user's design, that is what is becomes, or we call it as a template. That means that exactly will become common for everybody. Okay. So similarly, that is like we create our own template, but if you want to go with UiPath, then UiPath will create and give us the, what we say, the existing templates set up by UiPath. So based on our requirements, we can use them. So these are all the default templates that is coming from UiPath, and we can use them based on our needs and requirements. So if you go here, this is where you can see all the templates that is given by UiPath. And this is where, what we say, by default, all the UiPath templates are visible. So we basically don't have to do anything here. They are just, what we say, the list of templates that is just loaded here by UiPath. Next, as I said, if you go to team, this is where, all your, the team or your repositories are visible. And once it is configured, you can start using them as per your needs and requirements. Next, moving on and tools. So we have what we say UI Explorer. Basically, we'll come to this in the detail section in our project. So UI Explorer is nothing but it helps you to check the attributes. It helps you to check your elements, and it also helps you to check all your, what we say, uh, selectors and everything within your processes. So we'll come to the detail part of this in a little later while. Then we have project dependency update too. So like every time that we use activities, that comes as a package. If you want to update or what we said, do everything to your repositories and everything, you want to update your project dependencies or your project versions, we can do that here using project dependency section. Next is repair tool for Microsoft Office. So this is where we can, reset up our UiPath tools should there be any issues with your Office or what we say, any connectivities, everything. So we can do that from here. At the very bottom, important section is there, that is called UiPath extensions. In this particular section, what we're going to do is we are going to actually install or enable the extensions that is required for our project. So why these extensions are required is because see, we are installing the UiPath and we're trying to do some operation in Google Chrome. How will Google Chrome know that okay, who's trying to do the operation? Basically, they don't know. They are the two applications, they are unknown to each other. In that scenario, these UiPath extensions are very, very helpful. They help you to bridge the connection between your two applications. Okay, basically they will help you to connect between two applications, and not only that, okay, they help you to understand each and every elements of each other's applications. So in a short while, I'll show you how to install this extension and how does that make a difference with installation and without installation for our processes. Okay, so similarly, we have multiple extensions. By default, wherever there is no extensions, that means it is not required. Automatically, it is accepted and configured by UiPath. You can also see that there is no extensions for UiPath Internet. Sorry, it's for Internet Explorer because UiPath is coming from a Microsoft family or a Microsoft background, and that is why we separately don't have to, or we don't need extensions to be installed for any Microsoft family products. Coming to the settings part, so by default, like any other tool, we also have a settings here. So like where we can change the theme, we can, we can select the language pack that we want, everything that we can do. So telemetry is like, do you want to send the statistics or the usage data to the UiPath? Then we can do that here. Suppose you want to reset all your settings, reset your tool back to the, what we say, default configurations, then you can click on reset settings. Okay, so that is also possible here. Next is the design part. So this is again where we have multiple options for designing. What is it by default auto save time for all your code and design in case you don't save manually. So and remember one thing here, every time that is given is all in milliseconds. Suppose you're publishing a project and you get error. So how long should I or the UiPath keep on trying to publish a project? Okay, and whenever you create a new project, or should that be a new tab or how do you want it? So that options are given here. Okay, so similarly, other project related settings are given, but which we don't have to really change because all the default parameters what helps you to work with. Then execution, like like the result that is visible in your output panel, how much line of the value should be visible. So you can try anything here that you want up to 9999. So that's the 9,999 values. There's a max upper limit that is available. Then whenever we run or debug a process, what is the behavior of our file? So what should it do? Should it debug? Should it run the project? So that settings also can be changed from here. And whenever we execute our code, by default your screen gets minimized. So do you want to minimize or maximize the code? Then that option is given here. Okay. Then a design style, like what do you want to do? Whether you want to keep your annotations docked, or what is the fixed, or do you want it to be floating? So that options are given here. Then do you want to use modern folders, or do you want to use classic folders for your project? Then that option is also available here. Similarly, is your what we say a repository. Do you want to enable or disable your repositories? Then you can do it here. Uh, do you want a what is a very slim view of all your activities panel? Then we can do that from here. Then we have locations. So by default, what is the default location set by UiPath? That is what we say here. But if you want to change, like as I said, my document UiPath is the default folder for your project. If you want to change, you can do that from here. When we publish what is the default URL, then we can change here. Same for the library section. And even if it's a project templates, then what we say, what are the default templates, the everything that can be set and changed here, then we can use that as part of our what we say default location. Then manage sources, I'll come in a short while for you to make you to understand in detail. Then we have a license and profile section. So basically in this particular section is where we are going to what we say update our profile details, check our license information. So all that is visible here. Next is the team section. So this is where you can see your companies will enable or disable this entire repository part for you. So any one which they are going to take the license one, that will be enabled, and the remaining everything will be disabled for you. Next is the lab section. So this is where you can do R&D section. So you can enable or disable the lab sections that you want. Okay, so within your project, if you want to disable, you can do it. If you want to enable, you can keep it enabled here. Next is the help section, and very important section here. So what happens is in this section, there are all our hyperlinks that will take you to the respective websites wherever you want to go. So the first and foremost is the product documentation. So if you click on this, right, it will take you to the product documentation website. So basically, this will allow you to if you look at this, basically the product documentation will take you to the entire UiPath website where we can see each topic wise, information that is given by UiPath. Let's say this is introduction. So if you look here, they have given in detail everything about your introduction, your what we say at a high level, what we are doing it right now. So that is same given here by UiPath. Similarly, they have given all topic by topic. So based on our needs, we can always refer this particular section, the product documentation section. We don't have to remember the URL to directly take you there, but then it's one of the very important sections that you should definitely visit whenever you need any information. Then we have community forum. So community forum is nothing but the forum where across the globe, everybody in the what we say across the globe, people will come and put their comments, or they can help somebody else to solve their problem. So all that reasons why the UiPath community is one of the best community in the world. So that if anybody is stuck with their process, they need solutions, then you can always get it from UiPath community. Next is the help center. So this is typically for if you're using what to say your enterprise licenses, then we typically have any issues and we want to reach out to the UiPath team. So you can go to help center, raise a request, and they will always be there to assist us whenever we required. Then academy, this is where we do all our certifications. So whatever rules and responsibilities you're looking for, you can go ahead and to the academy website and close the certifications. Then the release notes. The release notes is nothing but this will give you the information about all the various releases that UiPath has. So typically you can see the release version here, or the version of UiPath today that is installed. But then if you want to see here, each release wise, what are the features that UiPath has come up with, what are the new changes, so everything that is given in detail very sufficiently by UiPath. So we can always refer the release notes section. Next is a short survey, like if at all you want to give any feedback to UiPath, or you want any what we say information that to be shared with UiPath. You can always do that here using the survey section. And then we have a quick tutorial. So what we are doing right now, introduction. If you click on this, what we say, the UiPath is going to showcase the what we say, quick tutorial, like within a 2 minutes, the entire overview of the tool, but which we are doing in detail. But if you still want, you can go ahead and check the quick tutorial site. On your right hand side, we have what we say, the information about the what kind of licenses that we have, what is the version of UiPath that we have installed, whether it's like community edition or it's enterprise, what is our .NET framework library. So all that this is just for information purpose and nothing to be modified here. So you can see all our details are visible here within our screen. So this is about what we say, the introduction section, wherein you can see all your what you say, information and tabs available. Which one to use one, you will get to know in detail. So next will be our design and debug section, which will be coming shortly in the next session. So remember, home design or the home screen is always meant to create your new projects, your create your new libraries, create the templates, or use any existing libraries that is given from UiPath. You can change the settings, you can modify the settings, okay? And any URL that is required to reach out to UiPath, then we can always come to the help section. And another important section is we can what we say, create and configure our own repositories or connect to our repositories that is given as part of the UiPath package. So very important section, the home section, something which will always come whenever we load the tool. So this is all about the introduction of the home section. So we'll see design and debug sections in the subsequent sessions that we have shortly.